What up everybody, and welcome back to a Godzilla Kong the New Empire Playmates toy review. Today we are taking a look at Giant Mothra. That's right, the figure is finally here after almost a whole month of anticipation when it was first revealed on GameStop Canada's website. I made it my priority to get this figure as soon as I could. And even though they pushed it back so much, it was supposed to come out last month. It is now end of September. Let's just dive right into this and review Playmate's very first Mothra figure. Starting off with our big box, this one is particularly lighter compared to the other giant figs we've reviewed in the past. Obviously, Shimo's was the heaviest, actually followed by Godzilla. So obviously Mothra is a much smaller titan in general. Therefore, it is no surprise that the box is light, which is obviously not a bad thing. We have our usual render of Godzilla and Kong. We have Giant Mothra here and the logos and all that. The movie logo's up there. Here's what it looks like on the side. And then here's what it looks like on this side. And then the back, a beautiful photo of Mothra. I'm not sure what this is. This is probably one of those pyramids, but it just seemed so out of place at first. Upon first glance, I was like, was this a printing error? But I guess it's not. So it's a pyramid. And then that's the movie synopsis. You've seen it already multiple times. I would imagine it is nothing too new. And then at the bottom of the package here, we have a couple instructions here. Firstly, how to assemble the wings for her, and then how to put her on the stand to have her flying. And then, of course, a list of the other giant figs. And actually, surprisingly for this movie, they've done way more giant figures than I expected. Godzilla vs. Kong, they only did Godzilla, Kong, and Mechagodzilla. I guess Mothra is a character important enough to get her own figure. So, I guess that is a good thing. So now, let us unbox this figure and take her out. Mothra has been unboxed and assembled. The only bits of assembly required are the big two wings, the main wings, as well as putting her on the stand. Attaching her on the stand is actually very easy and straightforward, and I kind of wish we had that for Haya's Mothras, because those stands were not the strongest and they're very confusing to use. I'm even surprised Playmates decided to turn Mothra into a giant figure as well, and I think what they've done here is very good. This Mothra looks very different from the one from King of Monsters, and that's because this is a different Mothra from King of Monsters. So therefore, her colors are different as well. She has that more dark brown color. In the movie, she's quite glowy, of course, to match, just her angelic presence that she has. And I think Playmates has been able to illustrate this very nicely. They've actually been able to make use of the colors very well. The wings themselves are very firm plastic. Don't worry about these being too bendy. They won't snap that easily. So quite sturdy material. So you don't have to expect super low quality. I mean, Playmates is affordable. It's a child toy ultimately, and I do think a kid playing with this figure will not risk breaking the wings, so that's good. You can see the wings are super detailed. You've got like the iconic, I think that's like supposed to be an iris look on it. It's very detailed. He's got other patterns of her wings. It's all like printed, obviously. So there's no texture because it's just a smooth plastic sheet. That's to be expected, so it's not bad. And I think they nailed it, despite her, not having that much features in general. Her smaller wings here also have a similar color pattern here. I'm not sure you can catch the other side, but you can kind of expect the same thing on the other side. And then her main body, she's got a dark orange, almost between dark orange and brown color. And you can see there's some black spots just contrasting it. I think that's intentional. I'm not sure what they're trying to achieve there, but you can see at several points in her body, there are just black dots, black bits to contrast it. And I think the most noticeable one is on her legs. You can see it's just a shade of black and up to her claws, which is nice. And at the very front, her front legs and her claws, pretty nice. You got the black to contrast the brown, and then on her face she's got the blue eyes, which I think are very nice. You can actually see the eyes. The main details is in the wings, but the colors as a whole is pretty good. Granted, I have no other Mothra figures to compare this with because this is my very first Mothra from Playmates. I don't even have the regular one yet with Gia by the time I'm filming this. It's on the way, but I don't have it yet. The stand is important. I am so glad they actually included a stand because it's hard to display Mothra on the surface because her wings are so heavy, she's just gonna tumble. And so having the stand here to prop her up to make it look like she's flying is so pivotal, and I think it was a great idea. Thank God for Playmates to actually include a mini stand here to hold her up securely too. Yeah, obviously you can detach her from the stand, but I ain't gonna do that. Well, actually maybe I will, just to show you the articulation. So you can see the peg, the hole is right here. This is the peg, very simple, just attach that, comes on and off very easily. So now that I've detached the figure, I can of course show you the articulation. So the first bits of articulation you can see are in the legs. You cannot move the two smaller ones, but you can definitely move the two front ones, the big ones here. They can be moved forward and back, open and close like that. It's not too much. It is a little limited, I will say, but it is there. At least it exists. And then the back legs also have some articulation, front and back, as you can see. And of course you can also, kind of spread out the legs as well. That's pretty nice. It's kind of tight, but of course the friction is fresh, as in this figure was just factory produced, so you gotta like fiddle with the joints to warm it up. Of course, the main articulation is within the wings, and Playmates has given quite a bit of variety with the wings. You can definitely strike them in different positions, but they have friction adders equipped onto it. So whatever position you put the wings in, it'll stay because there's actually friction to hold it up. It won't actually fall down. So the front two wings here, as you can see, you gotta use some force, but as you can hear the click sounds, that allows you to change the position of the wings. So that, and then you put that forward, you can hear the clicking noises, right? But you just gotta be careful. This is where I would think it gets delicate, because this is also one of the weaker points, the attachment points of the wings. So if you go too hard on it, there is a chance you can just snap the whole wing off, because the friction is a bit intense here. So be firm, but also be gentle at the same time, just so you don't actually accidentally break off the wing. But the friction is there, it is needed to keep the wings in whatever position you desire. Now, apart from turning it, you can also flap it, as you can see. So you can flap it forward and back, and with the friction adders, it helps, reinforce the wings, make sure they don't topple over. But of course, the main wings here is obviously what adds all the weight. So the friction adders is so important, and the articulation is similar to the front wings. So as you can see, you can tilt it forward, tilt it backward. There is the click-clack noises, that is the friction. And then of course, you can move the wings back, if you want her to be in a different flight position, there you go. That is very possible. And then you can fold the wings back like that. Look at that. Just like that, you have a whole new pose for Mothra. And then when we put her back on the stand, that's actually a good pose. We'll leave it at that. Yeah, that's actually pretty sick. So as you can see, the character just the overall build of Mothra has limited articulation. Like, Playmates has really tried their best. They've done what they can with the character, and I'm just glad they were, willing to make figures of Mothra. It's about time she gets some recognition. She is a Toho classic monster, so I'm glad they're able to make toys for her. So this is, of course, my first one, the giant Mothra. Overall, I am impressed, especially for the quote-unquote giant size. That's more for the wingspan. That's why she is a big figure. Now, I did get this for 35 Canadian dollars. This honestly feels more like a $25 figure, but I think it's not too bad if you pick this up for your child. I think he/she will have a blast playing with this figure. I think the Haya Toys Mothras may be too delicate and you don't want to risk it breaking, and I think the risk is definitely higher if you have a child playing with the Haya Mothras compared to if you play with the Playmates Mothra, which is way more sturdier. And honestly, for the cheapness of it, the colors look great. I think it's quite accurate to the film. And so overall, I'm gonna give the giant Mothra here a solid 8 out of 10. I'm actually quite impressed with what I got here. I think what will be really cool though is if they added some webbing add-ons. You know how Godzilla sometimes has atomic breath projectiles from the GVK Mega Godzilla? I think we had something similar to that for Mothra here, like webbing projectiles. I think that would be pretty cool, and I'm pretty sure it makes up for, the small size of Mothra. It just feels like you're paying a little too much for this, so I think if you added those web shooters, I think the price would feel more justified. I look forward to getting the regular Mothra. That one comes with a Gia minifig. I think the only interesting human character people would actually care about, so I'm interested and anticipating to get that Mothra when it gets here. I like how I start off with the big one, and then I'll get the small one eventually. So, of course, this compared to my older giant figures definitely is the smallest of the bunch. I don't have them with me right now, so I can't really do the comparison, but I can safely assume this is definitely the smallest giant figure I'm gonna have. So yeah, a definite unexpected surprise that Playmates actually gave Mothra a giant figure, but I welcome it. It is a fantastic addition to the GXK sets, the line of figures, and yeah, so that's all I gotta say about this. What do you guys think of Giant Mothra? If and when it hits the US, then, I do recommend you guys to get it. But if you're in Canada, yes, go to your GameStop right now to pick it up, because I am surprised this is going to GameStop, and any other toy retailers that's selling these figures will most likely have this one as well. I'm just surprised that this is technically a Canadian exclusive for a short period of time until the US gets it. So thank you for watching. If you want to check out my previous giant figure reviews, of course, Shimo, Skarking, Kong, Godzilla, check those out as well. We have 5 giant figures from this movie. That is crazy. So if you enjoyed this review, hit that like button and subscribe, and check out any other reviews that you want to see. And of course, hit that notification bell on for when the regular Mothra with Gia review comes out. Until then, we will see you in the next one.